Hi everyone, it's Paul Miller, the Freetime Free Spill podcast, and we're with an amazing guest. His name is Terry Begue, and he's an international speaker, author, and he's creating a course, and he's been in the painting business, like he's a company owner, like of a painting business, and it's been doing well. How you doing, Terry?
I'm good. How are you, Paul?
Doing good?
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to talk to you about everything that you're currently doing and working on and what's coming up.
Sure, I'd be happy to talk about that. It's my favorite subject.
So you're an international speaker?
Yes, I am. I belong to Toastmasters, which is a speaking organization. I think they're the largest nonprofit in the world. And every year they do a speech contest where they start out with like 35,000 speakers from all over the world that represent like 120 countries. And the contest takes like 6 months from start to finish. And you need to win 6 levels to be crowned world champion of public speaking. And I've made it to that final 100 three different times. And it's been in Malaysia. It's in a different part of the world every year. And a few years ago it was in Vancouver. So I've gotten to speak around the world in the contest.
Wow, that's
And
big time.
yeah, it's been fun.
So you went to Malaysia?
I did. I got invited there to be in the contest. I was in the last 100 best speakers in the world for Toastmasters. And it was scary because I got up in front of 1,200 people. I'd never been in front of that big of an audience, but it felt so easy. And I looked out at everybody, and the first thing that went through my mind was, I don't know one person there. But I wasn't scared. I found it was easier to give a speech in front of a bigger audience instead of just a handful of people, because they all sort of feed off of each other as the laughs happen easier. And it just seems like it's easier to connect in a big group, which is kind of counterintuitive to what you would think. You think you'd be more afraid in front of a big audience, but it was just the opposite.
And you wasn't nervous?
No, not at all. I loved it. It was probably the best speech I ever gave, but that's where my journey ended right there. If I would have won that level, I'd have been in the final 9 in the world. And
Wow.
but still, I got to do that, and it broadcast throughout the world. So it was really a lot of fun, and something I'll never forget. And I'm not done yet. I'll be back
Yeah.
next year. I think it's going to be in Paris, and I'd love to make that final 10, because that's who would go to Paris to compete at the end.
What does it take to make top 100?
Oh my gosh. It's just a 7-year speech. It can't be less than 5.5 minutes, and it can't go over 7.5 minutes. So what it takes is, in those 7.5 minutes, you got to make the audience laugh, cry, take away a strong message that'll maybe make their life better in some way, and do it all in a really short time and not miss a beat. You got to be point on. Every little word you say is dissected. So the time it takes to write a world-class 7-minute speech could be 6 or 8 or 10 months to do that. And I'm ready to get back into it again. I took a couple of years off, and we'll see what happens next time. It needs to be a different speech every time. So it takes a lot of time to do it. You need to really have 2 speeches, because once you make that final 10 in the world, you have to come back with a whole different speech.
Wow.
So that adds a level of I don't know, tenacity, almost, you might say, to figure out the right words and the right speech that'll connect, and do 2 of them within a few days of each other.
What did you talk about in the speech?
The what I talked about was it has to be something that's real relatable to the audience too. And the speech I gave in Malaysia is about how I took the audience immediately to the delivery room when my son was born, and how I had a video camera there, and I was ready to record the whole thing. And once it all had happened and everything was done and the baby was born, I realized I forgot to record. So I promised myself I'd never let that happen again. And and as I was talking to my son later in the hospital, he's just a day old, but I'm talking to him and telling him we're going to go to Disney World when you're old enough, and I'll record everything. And I was true to that promise. Then I said, I'll do the same thing for my daughter. And I forgot to record her too. So I made those promises. And then I fast forward 6 or 8 years to Disney World. I recorded everything they did,
Yeah.
and I didn't make any time to play with them. But it was when we all got back home from Disney World, and they were all talking about all the good times that they had. And I said to my wife, I don't remember any of that. And she says, it's because you were recording us. You weren't in the moment. So that was the message, is that I had it right the first time. And So the takeaway message for the audience was put down your camera and just be in the moment with
Yeah,
your family.
it's emotional to talk
Mhm.
about like your newborns and stuff.
It's crazy that I still get emotional out without any emotions. It was a challenge in and of itself for me. And but that's the kind. It has to be a personal experience, but it's also something that would help the audience in some way. There's so many little things. But thanks for asking about that. I haven't talked about
Yes,
that
sir.
speech in a long time. That was back in 2012, so that's been or 2014 rather.
Yeah, I
So
wish my parents would have took like at least a picture of me like when I was a baby.
I know. It, now their pictures are so easy, but yeah, when we're kids, we don't have very many, right?
Yeah, cause I like we got like it's like five of us, like my siblings. Like
Uh-huh.
it's five of us, and like it's just so much was happening. Like we was like they was having us right after each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I came from a big family too. And it's funny, I was just saying to my wife the other day, we just became grandparents again a week ago. And my daughter takes more pictures of her son in 1 week than I have of me for my entire childhood because you just didn't have phones when I was a kid. you know.
Yeah, and
So
you're an author.
I am an author. I wrote a book and it's titled Attract and Keep Customers for Life. See, I've owned my painting business since I was 18 years old, and this is my 43rd year in business. And I realized a couple years ago that I learned some things that really helped my business just take off because I struggled really badly for the first 8 or 9 years. From got married when I was 21 and we were broke for like 6 or 7 years. And it wasn't until I learned to look at my customers like they're my friends and stop thinking of them as the enemy. Like either they hire me or I lost or I get the job and I won. And I quit looking at that and just concentrated on giving value first. And my business blew up. I doubled my income by the time my son was born. That was all that same time. And over the next year, I focused more on my customers and I doubled it again. So that's what the book was about, is those things that I learned once things changed for me. And now 43 years later, my business is ridiculously successful for being just a house painter, but owning a painting business that specializes in just a certain type of painting. And I'm creating a course to help people with small businesses, especially in the home services industry, grow their business and help it to take off and share the things that took me a lifetime to learn.
And what about the course? Like you still
That's
working on it?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. I'm really just starting to create everything. It's based on my book, So if somebody would buy my book, they would read through it, and if they say, "Wow, I like what you're saying, but I want to learn more about how to create a business and grow it and take it to the next level," and that's what the course will be about. So, a person can buy my book, the online version on Amazon for $3.99, or the paperback version for I think $12.99, something like that. But if you wanted to take it further, I wanted to offer an upsell, which is really my course for, I'm not really sure what the price it will be, for a few $100s, though it's going to be a 6-week course that'll help people it's going to be titled From Unnoticed to Unforgettable. I'm going to share all the things that created so much success in my business that I'm able to take time off and just do things like give podcasts and write the book and write the course and things like that.
And the name of the book again?
The name of my book is titled Attract and Keep Customers for Life. But it's the subtitle that explains it more. The subtitle is kind of long. It's 4 abilities to build trust, communicate your value, and charge what you're worth.
Yeah,
That's really what the book's about, how to communicate your value so you can start making the kind of money you deserve to be making.
it's cool to be an author.
It is. I love it. You are too, right?
Yeah, I wrote a book. I want to make another one with like 4 in 1, like
Uh-huh.
like one book, but it's 4 in 1, like
Oh,
many different
interesting.
things.
Interesting. So maybe 4 parts in it, huh? One book, 4 parts.
Yeah,
Cool. Actually, that's sort of how my book is, because I broke it down into just what you're saying, 4 parts. I called them the 4 abilities. And it was what it took to be successful was likability, believability, trustability, and wowability. And that's my 4 parts. So really, it's so funny that you said that, because that's what I did with my book.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I love
What
it. Well, I'm sorry.
what else you got coming up?
I'm doing hopefully a lot of podcasts. I love getting on those. I'm doing 3 more in the next week and giving 3 speeches in the next month. I'm starting to speak to professional organizations and marketing and salespeople, things like that. I'm looking for those opportunities, and people can find me on my website, which is just called my name, terrybegue.com. That's if people go there, they can book me for speeches, or I have tons of blogs on there and pieces from my book, things like that is on
Have
my
you
website.
ever thought about podcasting, like starting your own show?
I would love to do that. I have thought about it. I'm just so busy right now between running my business and trying to get this online business up and running. I just haven't had time to do podcasts, but I would love to do it someday.
Yeah, because you
Mhm.
naturally flow with it, like with speaking. Your skill to speak flows with podcasting. Like it'll be good because like you got the equipment, you know how to speak. Like it just gotta record.
And learn how to use my equipment, right? we struggled a little before this. I just wanted the audience to know, but I think it was more my fault than yours, though, because
It was
I'm challenged by technology.
it was me. I had to plug in my headphones, like unplug it and plug it back in. I don't know
That's
if it's the
funny.
cold weather.
Yeah, I bet you're right. But yeah, I love doing this, and I want to go back to that. And then I would, if I could recommend just one thing to your listeners, it would be think about joining Toastmasters, because it literally changed my life. They meet once a week for like an hour, and right now it's all online because of the pandemic and all. But it'll go back to in person, and there's, oh my gosh, I think there's hundreds of thousands of meetups, of groups of testimonials, or of Toastmasters. And probably in your city, I'll bet there's 4 or 5 different groups that you could join at different times of the day. Some meet at lunchtime, some meet in the morning, some meet in the evening. But Toastmasters was huge. That's what took me down the road to even write my book. I realized that I had something to say once I started getting up and speaking in front of my group. And it's just a safe place where people listen to what you have to say, and they can evaluate you on how you can be better at saying what you want to say. So I hope to be able to put this podcast out to my group of
Yes,
Toastmasters. I
sir.
think they would love to hear that.
Yeah.
And how that was the start of everything for me, really, that changed my life in terms of stepping away from my business and becoming more of a marketer of what I'm doing.
I was educated about Toastmasters like yesterday, but I knew about them. I heard about them before. I just
Yeah.
never looked into it. And like a district founder director of
Uh-huh.
Toastmasters, like she's in
Uh-huh.
California where it started at,
Uh-huh.
and like she told me about it. Like so, I'm glad to talk to another Toastmasters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, it changed my life in ways I never could have thought. I thought I was just going there to give speeches and learn a little about leadership, which I wasn't interested in. But what it really did for me was, by getting up and talking to people and getting evaluated without really paying attention to it, it taught me to learn about how to communicate what your value. That was really it, and that's what my book's about, is how to communicate your value in whatever job, whatever industry that you're in. And Toastmasters was the start of all that for me.
And you have a good tone. You're engaging with the audience, and like it's good. It's a good flow. It's open, and it's easy to talk. It's easy to talk to you.
Yeah, you helped me with that too. I mean, you open up the door for me, and it's just a back and forth. And again, these are all things that you learn in Toastmasters too, and it'll help you in ways you never could have imagined. I guess I know I keep
Yeah.
saying that, but that was the big thing for me. I was afraid to talk to people. I know when I first met my wife back when I was a teenager, and that was the subject of my speech when I went to Vancouver, was about how, looking at her and just say, there's something, you don't know about me. I'm not very smart. And she looked up at me and she said, yeah, I know. But so it was one of those laugh lines, but it's those little interactions throughout your life and you see where they fit into what's going on moving forward in your life. And those speeches is what opened the door so much for me to learn how to communicate to my customers.
I took a
And
I took a communication course, and they tell us
mhm,
about telling stories. Like that's why I learned like from like hearing what you're saying, like telling a story.
yep, people listen. That's one of the first things I learned there is people, when you're a kid, you didn't ask your grandparents to talk to you about some topic that you didn't really know much about. They said, tell me a story. So that's the best way to learn. I've learned is by telling stories and what you learn through the story. And but your point on with everything you're saying is that's the best way to go, is if you can figure out a lesson from a past story from your life, and those are the best lessons learned and the best ones to share, I think.
Yeah, it was something about being charismatic. Like they said, the 6 C's, like in the communication course, like being
Yeah.
concise, being calm, collected, having control when you're giving a speech, and confidence. It was a lot of different things, but it was like 6 of them.
See, clarity, I think, was one of them.
Yeah, I think clarity.
I've seen that before in charisma, maybe. I know there's different lists, but I know it always seems to. I wrote an article titled "The Seven Seas of Trust," and not the ocean, but the seas, just like what you're saying. And, it's in what in that article, it's like I wrote is confidence being one of the seven C's to building trust, a clarity, and just the things like you said. You're right on with those C's.
Yes, sir.
It's funny.
What else you got coming up?
What else I have coming up? Podcasts, speeches, um, just working on my book and my course. Really, my course, I got the whole outline done, and just like writing a book, you do the outline first, and I have my outline done for my book, my course, and now I got to start filling it in with a lot of. There'll be dozens and dozens of short little videos, and this will probably be my backdrop here. So that'll be the big thing for me for the next 2 or 3 months, because come April, my business gets insanely busy. I mean, because I've been in it now for 43 years. I haven't advertised since 2012, and my business still grows. I still get 20 to 30 phone calls a week. People wanted me to come paint their house. So what I found is I got so busy, I had one of two choices: was to hire more people and start a second and a third crew, or just, which I didn't want to do. At 62 years old, I didn't need more stress.
Yeah.
Instead, I just take the best 75 or 80 houses that we can paint in a year, and I do those. And I found that just works easier for me. But I am looking at selling my business down the road and going into this, like what you're doing, and working on my course and other future books and doing that. But I need to finish up a few years of my business first. And so that's a big thing. So trying to get this course done before my business starts up again. See, we're mostly just outside painters. So our crazy busy time is from April till usually November. And during that time, I'm putting in 70 or 80 hours a week into the business. But this year, I'm hoping to back away from that a lot, and devote at least 20 or 30 hours a week to the podcasting and creating and promoting my course.
Yeah, I created a course too, like, but I need to get better with the video. Like, I even put a quiz in there, and like, I even put my ebook in there.
Nice. Maybe we could promote it to each other. What you're doing, I can promote to my audience a little bit, and you as well for my stuff.
My
That would
my
be
best thing is my books, my podcasts, and my music too. But it's free. It's free music because like I don't own the beats, and also I want to do life coaching.
good. Nice. I know I saw a little bit on your website before I got on this. I checked you out a little bit, and I love your music video you have on there.
Yeah,
I hope everybody listening has gone and looked at that, because it's worth watching. I enjoyed it. I'm
it's
gonna watch it
peaceful.
again.
It's peaceful.
Yeah,
It
and it
gives
makes
me
you.
chills.
Yeah, it makes you think a little bit too.
Yeah,
That's what I like.
it gives me chills just listening to that song. Like, cause I remember I had a whole playlist of songs I was listening to by me, and
Huh?
other features that was on there, like with my cousins and stuff.
Hmm.
And I it was like nighttime, and like the music was playing, like all the songs on the playlist was playing, and then I woke up to that song, and I was like, man, this gives me chills.
That's the one you got to do right on your video. Huh.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was
Yeah,
really good.
you can tell just by watching you, and while you're singing it and walking around there, you can feel that it means something to you.
Yeah,
I could see that, and I thought that was really neat. And I hope people listening, your audience, has gone and listened and saw that, because it really does make you stop and think about, I don't know, important things, more important things in life.
yeah,
Just, yeah, being in the moment a little bit. That mindfulness.
yeah. Well, it's called One Wish by MC Nook. That's my rap name, MC Nook,
Uh huh.
and it's on YouTube. Y'all should check it out.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I like I said, I'm going to watch it again probably when we get off our call today, because I thought it was interesting, and just, I don't know, it just takes you to that place when you watch you there at the dock and in front of the water and everything.
Yeah. And they even got a drone that goes in the sky, and
Oh,
like you can see the birds. There's
that is
ducks in
that
the
is.
water.
I got to watch it again because I didn't really pay attention to the being in a drone and all, having the camera up there.
Yeah, even boat houses capturing the city and stuff.
Nice. I need to look at it again. As soon as we get off this, I'm going to play it again.
The videography was on point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like I thank you for joining me today,
Yeah.
and it was a pleasure to work with you. It was a joy. And the painting business seems like it seems tedious, like because I remember I was painting one time, and like I didn't even like I was painting the rooms. Like I had like 3 rooms to paint. I had the garage and 2 rooms. Like the garage came out good because I started on that first, but like the other rooms, like dripping paint on the lamp. Like
that that's the one thing I see. Homeowners, they don't have a lot of drop cloths a lot of times, and paint seems to go everywhere. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing, isn't it?
yeah.
Okay. Well, if I could ever help you out with any tips or anything on painting, just feel free to reach out to me, and I'll keep an eye out on the things that you're doing as well. So I'm very grateful for you to take this time and give me a chance to promote what I'm doing a little bit. I'm thankful.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. And to the audience that's listening, I thank y'all for tuning in. And it's a great show, like we do it all the time. And new guests always coming on the show, like Terry. Like it's great, amazing. And I thank y'all. New episodes air every Friday, 1 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Thank you, Mr. Terry.
Great. Yep. Thank you so much, Paul. It was great to be here.
All right.
All righty. Bye now.